Perfect. All right. We are on a roll here. Let's rock and roll.
We are live. We are live. Hello, Ivy. How are you? Well, actually, I should call you Boss Lady, right? Is that what we're
Sure.
going by?
Yeah, Bosslady or Ivy works. Everybody
Okay.
knows.
How about this? How about you tell me, how did Boss Lady come around? Walk us through this history just a little bit.
Sure. Boss Lady was an avatar I created on Zwift. And
Mhm.
Zwift is this virtual cycling community app software. During COVID, I got into it and I got asked to lead a ride, and Ivy morphed into creating a persona
Mm-hmm.
on that platform, and I adopted Boss Lady
Mm-hmm.
just because people would say, "Hey, boss," and I said, you know what, I'm gonna take on that name because in real life at work, I've been known as the Boss Lady too in previous jobs. So
I love
it's
that. I love
yeah,
that.
it's stuck. And there's so many other nicknames that I go by. And just for people's awareness on this podcast, one of the nicknames is Tiger, Sunshine, Fifth Gear, Spark Plug. So just think of somebody with a ton of energy who's had to learn how to manage and regulate herself so she's not too intense first thing in the
Yeah.
morning and she's not in your face, but yet she is going to drive because that's what I do.
Uh-huh.
And I'm also going to have a blast with the team.
I feel like all of those other nicknames totally speak to your personality. As far as I've gotten to know you, I can definitely see how they fit you. Um, awesome. Well, thanks. I mean that sounds great. Which of those have been your favorite? I'm just curious.
Fifth gear.
Okay.
I say that just because I can get myself going. I would say something like, oh, this morning I fifth geared myself. And it's not so much that I was using my voice box or I was talking to anyone. It's my
Mm,
ability to take a lot of action in a short amount of time.
mm,
Yeah,
mm. I
I can
like
get
that.
myself self-motivated or just not even motivated. If it's you're putting in the reps, you're putting in the work, and this is not about how you feel, I
Hmm.
can, my mind can go to that level and just say like, this is just how we gotta go.
I love
And yeah,
I love it.
well,
Well,
tell me, oh, go on,
I
go
just
on.
want to, yeah, yeah. I know we're gonna probably jump on each other here a little bit as we kind of hit the ground running.
Mhm.
I'll pause and see what your question is.
Keeks, tell me a little bit more about how Keeps came about, your
Yeah,
nickname.
absolutely. Absolutely. That's actually a great segue because I was about to go to that. Much like yourself, I have been notorious for collecting incredible nicknames all through my life. And Keeks, in my opinion, has been the one that has just truly, I felt like has really resonated with the person that I am today. Um, for our awesome audience, I'm sure you guys can see our awesome little pictures and who we are. You'll see that I represent myself 4 different ways. I am a wife, and that is where Mrs. N comes in. I am a corporate professional, and that's where CNN comes in. I just kind of shortchange that name. I'm Christina, because that's the girl that I've been since my birth, since my parents brought me into this lovely world. But really, who I feel like I can identify most with when it comes to the core of who I am is that's I am Keeks. So Keeks came almost as a play on the nickname Kiki. So my little brother, when he was born, I was 16 years old, and I was in high school,
Mhm.
and he was the cutest little thing in the world. I just loved the fact that he entered into the world. Um, Joel could not say Christina. And so he started walking around with his little 2-year-old self, stumbling everywhere and calling me Kiki. And so the family started to adapt that name, Kiki. I went from being called Christina to Kiki. Everybody was calling me Kiki. I found myself signing off on my Facebook posts as Kiki. So before you knew it, friends, family, everybody was calling me Kiki. And the name Christina Toto had lost its groove for quite some time. But as the years passed and Joel got older and my siblings got older, we all advanced and matured in our own ways. My sister, who is the baddest girl I know in my life, Winnie, just came up with a different name. And she was like, hey, Keeks. One day she just started calling me Keeks. And so I finally asked her, I was like, why are you calling me Keeks? Like, why do you guys keep giving me all these names? Like, I'm tired of keeping up with all these names. And so she looked at me, she was like, I just feel like there's more to you than just Kiki. You're just Keeks.
100%.
You know, you're just Keeks. And I was like, okay. So now everybody that's super close to me, that knows me, um, in the most authentic way, they call me Keeks. And when I say in the most authentic way, that means the Keeks version that you get is a bold woman, is an authentic woman, an unapologetic woman, as in I live each day the way I want to, the way I want to, the way I intend to, in the way that makes the most impact for those who cross my path. And I lean into a space of no fear. I just dive straight in, and the mistakes that I make, I pivot and I correct as I see fit. But for the most part, that is a personality that is courageous, that has no limits, that just jumps in, and that's the woman that I want to be. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am your host, Keeks, and I'm here today with our awesome boss lady, Miss Ivy.
Thank you. Oh, what an introduction. And I love the story behind Keeks. That's, and I was smiling ear to ear just of the way you describe who you are and how you show up in life in all those roles, because there's a bit of Keeks in all of them.
Mhm,
But when you think about being intentional with Keeks, is something really powerful about that.
mhm,
It is that you're limitless, and it is that there's nothing you can't do that you put your mind to.
mhm.
And this came about as well, right? You and I have been in the consulting and the corporate space for some time,
Right?
and we have a lot of thoughts and opinions and insights and experience and things we like and things we don't like, the highs and
Mm.
lows, you name it all, it's all in there. I
Preach
love that.
it, sis.
We came up with something to share with everybody what it's like in the real world, in the business world, and a
Mhm,
lot of the things that doesn't get talked about.
mhm, mhm. And,
And yeah,
I want to kind of add really quickly, like
sure.
for me, it's also just like the things that I know that our colleagues want to say, but aren't going to say it, right? Because we
Yes,
are in a corporate environment. It's like we're dealing with these crazy projects, crazy clients. And yes, I think for the most part, things are good, right? You like your job, or you like at least how you get paid by your job. But there are those unspoken things, and you're just like, man, I want to get this off my chest. So who do you get it off your chest to? A co-colleague, a friend, a BFF at work, or who? So why not? Why not create an environment, a safe space where we can come in and talk about the real stuff?
100%. I mean, think about this. We don't have to go into today about how you got into your career, because I believe that those stories are going to bubble up in terms of what we share of experience. What I'll say is, if you were going to, since the beginning of this year,
Mhm,
share with the audience what are the top things you have taken away with so far in the first quarter? What are things that you want us to think about or talk about? And pick anything.
mhm,
It can be any of
mhm.
the intro topics, it can be any of the things that came up in your research last week.
Yeah, yeah. So specifically for this year, right? Starting
Hmm.
off this year,
Hmm.
what are some things? I think one of the big things that I can really recommend, and everything that I say, guys, and when I say guys, I mean girls, gals, guys, men,
Disclaimer,
women,
we're not advisors here. We're just having a real talk. Please
right? Real
don't take
talk.
us
I,
seriously.
I don't have the right DEI terminology
Oh, I
sometimes,
know, right? We're not
and
PC. I mean, I know I'm not PC.
so
And this is a
I'm gonna
kitchen sink
do
talk.
right. I'm gonna do my best to be as inclusive as possible. But y'all, I'm from Texas, okay? So when I say y'all or guys, I'm talking about everybody. Everybody's included.
Okay,
So
you know what cracks me up is that your parents are immigrants and they
right,
have done incredible, and yet you're like, I'm from Texas, y'all.
yo. I am.
You know, I'm made in
I am.
Taiwan here, right? And I was born there, and I love saying that, even though no one. I mean, besides my looks, they just don't connect that dot.
Yeah.
And then they'll say, "Wow, your last name," and now I see you're really Asian. I'm like, "Yes, I'm really Asian. I don't know where you didn't think that, but like,
Right? I'm
it
telling you.
just
Oh my
cracks me
gosh.
up."
It's so funny. I'm going to digress a little bit because I have a story to relate to this. So, growing
Sure.
up, my name has always been Cristina Toto. And if you say it in a Latin way, that's Cristina Todo, Cristina everything. So, I remember times when I would apply for applications for, scholarships, etc., and they only heard my voice, right? And I'd show up to the meeting and they were a bit stunned that a Black woman is showing up because I'm like, yep, yep, that's me.
That's right.
I'm
That's
Miss
right.
Toto.
That's right.
But it is truly funny that the names sometimes don't match the perception that people have of you.
Yep.
But hey, it is what it is. We are all products of the influence of our culture, and so I am mad at you. But yes, to your point, I am so Texan, and I'm gonna use this word, y'all or
I
guys.
love it. Oh, that's great. I can say though, you all Texans have a big heart. Everything you do is just large. Like you do it big and you know how to have a good time.
Yeah.
And you're really, everyone I've met so far, very hospitable and friendly and down to earth and willing to help. And
Well,
yeah, I've
girl,
had
I hope
really good
that stays
memories
your
down in Texas.
experience.
That's been my experience, and it's probably because I was visiting my college roommates,
Uh-huh.
and and I've just come across some really nice people down there, and
Yeah. Mhm.
but yeah, but back to
Yes.
highs, just everything that. How can I sum up like the first quarter?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll start then, and I would say is adaptability, but being um say true to your values, but adaptable is one of the things I've had to adopt more of or be more of, right? I can sometimes take on things that are new and uncomfortable in a bad way initially, just because I don't know what I'm getting myself into, even though I'm going to say yes to it. And even though I have apprehension and uncertainty and fear that I'll, like that's not going to stop me from taking action or trying something new. However, I want to have a better attitude
Mhm.
and I want to be
Mhm.
a better listener. So those are things that if I had to say, okay, what are things I learned and insightful things is can I be such a listener, a level 3 listener that I'm not only listening for what's not spoken, I'm listening to understand. I'm not listening to respond, but I'm also listening at a level that you feel you're understood and you're heard.
Mhm. Mhm. I love that. I think your response really, really reaches deep in that journey of self-improvement, that journey of continuous self-improvement, which I admire. I really admire. I wish I could sit here and say mine as my lesson is as great as yours, but it is a bit different. And I really thank you for sharing that because I know a lot of our audience can resonate with that. Um, for me, I feel like I have been on, ooh, what would I call it? Almost like a year, um, about a year or so journey of discovery, rediscovery, if I may say, because Lord knows I am not new to this game. I've been in corporate America for quite some time at this point, but I'm in a journey of rediscovery. And I think this year, when I started 2024, I started in a new role, in a role that is within our firm, in our learning development. Department and this group of people, this group of amazing intentional people who love to pour into others and develop others. That's the team I get to work with. And they are so great and they are so busy. And girl, when I tell you, I thought I was a multitasker until I met these people, or at least understood what they did. I was like, dang,
Oh,
they're just like multitasking while they're multitasking. It's crazy. Um,
do they get
but
anything done? Are they
what was
effective?
that?
Do they get
Oh,
anything
are
done?
you kidding me? They are so effective. Sometimes I'm like, man,
Wow.
y'all make this machine look like it is just oiled and perfect. But then behind the scenes, I'm seeing all the things that's happening, and I'm like, I have mad respect for y'all. Mad respect for y'all, first of all.
Wow. That's a lot of
Um,
focus right in
I
that
know,
little,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's been such an incredible journey for me. But what I've walked away with in the last 3 months in this quarter, really the big thing is just that giving myself room and permission to be in a space of, man, I don't still know if this fits me or if this is what I want to do. I feel like sometimes society tells us in your 30s or almost mid 30s to early, 40s, you should know. You should know what you want to do. You should be in that space. You should be doing it. You should be collecting your coins and all that fun stuff, making an impact. And the truth is, everybody's story looks different. Everybody's journey looks different. And I just happen to be in a space where I have been a successful consultant for quite some time, but I'm in a space right now where I'm like, is that still what I want to do? Is that still how I want to invest in this world? Is that still the way I can make the biggest impact and begin to lay the foundation for what will be known as my CNN corporate woman legacy? I don't know. I
No,
don't know, but I
there's so much
appreciate,
more. What
right?
you just opened up in yourself was this realization that your many purposes that you're going to fulfill in the corporate world, and
Mhm,
that all these four personas that make who you are and plus more
mhm,
is it's like if you ever took the time to sit down and ask God what he had in mind when he created you, it would blow your mind away.
mhm, right?
And when he gives you something where you start questioning, is this it? Is there more? Absolutely there is. But he's also saying, let's discover again.
Yeah,
Let's let's
right?
let's rediscover, like you said,
Mhm.
where this is going to go, because this is also the next level you that you're growing into. That feels uncomfortable, that feels like there's a lot of uncertainty, yet you do know the things that you're familiar with. So you have a little bit of that. And you're also coming with experience.
Yeah. Michelle Obama said it in such a great way in her book, Becoming,
Mm-hmm.
and I paraphrase, but she said that she always hated that question, what do you want to be when you grow up? As if growing up is a finite thing. We're constantly evolving. Even when you grow up, well, first of all, what is the definition of growing up? Is that 30, 40, 50? Like, what does it mean when you're grown up? And then who's to say that at 30, 40, 50, you don't get to change your mind? You don't get to switch it up. You don't get to still keep evolving. We're humans. We're structured
Change.
to evolve,
Oh yeah, change
right?
is inevitable. Progress is not. So you're either going
Yeah.
to get better or you're not.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
think that's really the biggest lesson I've learned in this quarter is giving myself permission to say it is completely okay, Keeks. It's okay that you're still in a space of discovering what's the right thing for you. The good thing is that I have been investigating. I've been active in my investigation. And so I feel like I'm getting closer and closer to an answer, or at least closer and closer to a space of comfortability where I can operate effectively and truly live in the purpose of all of these different personas that represent me, right? The wife, the corporate woman, the personality that is Keeks, and then just me, Christina, the woman that I really advocate for internally. So I hope the audience hears me and knowing it is okay. It's okay, guys. If you don't know, if you're changing it up, it's all right.
You're not a tree. We're supposed to accept that we can change our minds and we can change directions and shift.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
also be okay with that. Just because you change your mind, it doesn't mean you're not who you are.
Hmm.
I think that distinction also has to be there, because some people would say, "Oh, I made a decision to do this
Hmm.
and I don't like it anymore." And it's like, "Okay, who said you couldn't change your mind, or who said you couldn't do something different?" And that's just part of growing up. But there's no such thing as you are grown up. I don't think of it that way either. And I would say how a better question would be, where and who are you becoming and who are you being? Because who are you being, you can do in any profession.
Mm-hmm.
And if you really, really, really want to be exceptional, you just have to do a little bit more than everybody else because there's always room at the top.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Good question.
Hmm.
You really got us deep in there.
Yeah. But so this is where I love about this podcast is it can go in so many places
Mhm,
around the topic of business
mhm.
and how you handle yourself professionally and all the other topics that people think and wonder about and don't get to talk about.
Yeah.
And we can put
You
it out
know,
there.
I love that. And then, another layer of that, just like identifying the person in all of that professional, goals and aspirations and your roadmap, right? While you were headed down your professional roadmap, like it's okay to take a pause and also be like, my goodness, who am I as a person? Like, what am I feeling in this moment? What do I want to say that I can't in a professional world or whatever, right?
Right.
Um, yeah.
This was awesome. So we
Right.
have a few more minutes before we wrap
Mhm.
up because we just want to keep this within a time box of 30 minutes or less.
Yep.
Any last thought or comments or takeaways you want our audience to go with, call to action?
I am calling the audience today to take 5 minutes after listening to this. Take 5 to 15 minutes, if depending on what rule of meditation exists out there. Usually, when I try to meditate, I give myself 15 full minutes of just silence. But take 5 minutes, 5 to 15, and ask yourself, where do I see my consulting career going? Just And if you don't have an answer, that's actually an answer. Congratulations, you do have an answer. Because that's a starting point. But I really think that as we start to enter into the space of authentic discussion, crucial conversation, exposure of realities, the realities that we live in when it comes to our business environment, whether it's our industries of practice or solutions of practice, how we manage ourselves internally within our firms and externally, I think it's important to know, where do you see your consulting career go? Because if you can answer that question or not answer that question, then this podcast is for you.
Love it. Thank you so much. It has been a pleasure catching up and sharing our thoughts out here in the Real Talk Consulting Podcast. And till next time,
Yeah, until next time. Thanks, girl. We'll
you're
talk to
welcome.
you.
See you, Keeks.